A supervisee is a person who functions under the extended authority, okay, of the psychologist or social worker to provide or while in training to provide services, okay? Now, this distinction between making this distinction between what's supervision and consultation. The Canadians have kind of been pushing this for in a much stronger way than we as Americans, okay? But consultation occurs between peers or between senior and junior professionals. Okay, if a fellow colleague who's fully licensed stops me in the hall and says, "George, I got this case. What do you think I should do?" And I say, "Well, I think you should feed the kid 50 pounds of chocolate over the course of the next month and see what happens." Okay, now at that particular point, they're probably going to walk away and think, "Oh, Harmon's finally lost it. Yeah, wow, I probably shouldn't have asked him that." But they're not obligated to follow my direction. On the other hand, if one of my supervisees stops me in the hall and says, "Dr. Harmon, what should I do with this case?" And I say, "You should feed them 50 pounds of chocolate every day for the next month." Okay. As a supervisor, I have a right to expect compliance because they cannot legally do what they're doing without my oversight. Okay. Um, uh, Consultation is an arrangement between legal equals. Now I may have 30 years of experience and you have 3 minutes worth of experience or whatever, but we are still legal equals. And so what I'm doing is I am consulting with with an individual. As a consultant, I have no legal responsibility. I have no legal liability because ultimately, if I consult with somebody and say, well, if it was my case, this is what I would do. All right. Ultimately, the decision as to whether or not you're going to do what I spelled out, the 50 pounds of chocolate, falls back in your lap. So again, consulting with an individual, they have the right to accept or reject my opinion. Okay. Whereas with the supervisor, supervisee, the relationship there is one of, I have a right to expect compliance because you're working under my license. You're functioning under my license. I am supposed to be monitoring, reviewing, and directing your behavior and your work behavior in that regard. What goes into being a competent supervisor? A number of people could discuss this, but one of the things is, have you been trained in supervision? The fact that you all signed up for this Zoom webinar is a way of becoming trained in supervision or continuing your training in supervision. Have you updated your skills? I don't know how you all became a supervisor, but the way I became a supervisor, I was sitting in my office minding my own business. The executive director knocks on my door. He says, "George, now Bob, the supervisor, has just been in an automobile accident. He's going to be out of work 6 months. You're the acting supervisor." And my response is, "What the hell do I know about supervising? I don't know anything about supervising." "No, we need somebody to be the acting supervisor. And I think you're the best qualified or most suited person in the work group or whatever." All right. But that was, and I said, "Well, what do I do?" I mean, he said, "Well, if you run across a problem, just call Bob. He'll probably help you out with it. Or if you really get stuck, you can always consult with me on it. But meantime, just do what you think Bob would do." All right. And for a lot of us, that was the limit of our training and supervision. Now, I don't know about you all, but if I'm about to undergo back surgery and a neurosurgeon is going to cut into my spinal cord, okay, I don't want him doing what he thinks Bob would do. I am hoping that this is a thoroughly trained and thoroughly experienced individual who's capable of performing this particular surgery. Okay. Another aspect of being a competent supervisor is, have you been trained in and do you have experience in the area in clinical expertise in whatever the area that you're supervising? All right. Just because I have 2 licenses and multiple degrees and years of experience does not mean I'm capable of supervising everything.